Hi there. So I thought I would just give you a quick run through of a sales page or a landing page, so you could see that I was talking about. So this is a page for Ryan Deese, I think you pronounce his name, I'm not quite sure, who's a digital marketer. I receive emails from him, not quite sure how I signed up. I'm going to guess that he had a lead magnet that I was interested in. And in his emails I get periodically, he says, if you're interested in working with me, sign up now, and it clicks to here. So I wanted to show you some of the things about his sales page that should be interesting to you. He has a different website that's Digital Marketer, from my understanding, but you can't go to it from here. So as I've mentioned already, hopefully by the point you're seeing this, you can't go off the page with this. Up at the top right, he has an apply now button. And then he has another apply now button down here. So he has two call to action buttons above the fold, i.e. before I've done any scrolling here. These are the only buttons on this part of the page. And they are both green and they both say apply now. So it's an absolutely clear call to action. If I had been reading his emails for quite some time and I had said, I clicked over to this page because I was pretty confident that this was what I wanted, I might just click apply now at this point. Or maybe I would read some of this above the fold and then click through. But if I was ready, I might just click apply now. So his headline, the Elite Marketer Coaching Program. So that tells us that he is a coach. He has a program for marketers, and there's something about it that's elite. I don't really know what elite means at the moment. In my mind, it conjures up that you are better than other people, but I'm not really sure what he means by that. However, he then has a subheading. Let us help you create and execute a strategic growth plan that at least doubles your sales in the next 12 months or less. So his USP or UVP, however you want to call that, unique value proposition, is here. He is saying that he will help you create and execute a strategic growth plan. You already know that that's growth for marketers because the headline talks about that. And he has a promise in here that you will at least double your sales in the next 12 months or less. Now, if we've already talked about power words, which I think we probably have, and if not, then you'll hear about this later in the training. 12 months or less is relates to power words because they're talking about that timing issue. And help is another one of those power words. At least even could count as power words. So there's lots of that going on there. So I would say that you need to read both his heading and his subheading to understand exactly what he's offering you, and that's okay. So he actually has 3 lines there of text that tell you what he wants to do. Then there is this video which I haven't watched through, but I see he's obviously talking, and then there's some words down here so you can understand what he's talking about. Then we have something here to deal with the scarcity mindset. I'm going to guess if I open this link up again in a couple of days, it's still going to say 3 days. I may do that actually and let you know how it goes. But he's saying that open enrollment closes. Now, it does also say enrollment is only open a few times a year. The program begins immediately after enrollment closes. So it's definitely possible that that will not happen and he doesn't have a rolling timer going there. If it's true scarcity that he does only run it a couple of times a year, then that kind of scarcity is great to put in your sales page because it's true scarcity. If he says this and then the timer resets in 3 days, then that is the cheating kind. But the idea that you better get it now or it's about to run out is often encourages your audience to make a decision when they've not been quite sure. So then below here we can see, before we go any further, I can just see in his video he's talking about bonuses. So he's talking about extra things you get above and beyond. Now the reason we quite often give bonuses, and you see those a lot on sales pages, sometimes people even buy for the bonuses and not the main product, is that these are just to help create value. So that feeling, a classic example from the past would be to get 2 for the price of 1. Or given a discount, but bonus is another way of trying to help make someone feel like they're getting more value than they initially thought, or more value than they're really paying for it. So then just before the fold, we have a special message for marketers and founders who feel stuck and frustrated and want to start growing again. So here we have identifying our key ideal client, marketers and founders. That's quite interesting because that's a different category of marketing. and then who feel stuck and frustrated. There's their pain points that they're experiencing, and they want to start growing again. That's the benefit that they're looking for. So obviously we understand that there's a feeling there that their business is not growing as fast as it could. Maybe if they get coaching from Ryan, that's going to solve their problem. So when we scroll down below the fold, I'm going to go roughly so you can see another fold's worth. This is a personal letter from Ryan, or it's set out as a personal letter. Those are really good when your brand very directly correlates to you as a person. And it can work even when you're not particularly well known, but if you're building your brand and depending on you as a person, then having your image, I personally would have a bigger image of Ryan there smiling and looking happy, but an image of you and then your personal explanation to the person and your promise of what they're going to get. Yes, you really can double your sales in the next 6 to 12 months, even if you're stuck. So the suggestion there is that that's an almost unbelievable promise. And by him telling you personally that it's true, that's to try and help deal with that objection you might have, which is, well, I don't know if he can really do that. That promise feels a bit much. All you need are 3 things. So he's setting out here features of things that you need to solve your problem: a documented plan to win, a scorecard to measure the metrics and milestones, and a framework for prioritizing projects. Elite marketers do all 3. So my goal for you is simple. I want to help you build and execute a custom marketing plan that at least doubles your revenues over the next 6 to 12 months. So again, he has put that kind of heading, or that was a subheading, unique value proposition in there. He's pointing out that successful people do this thing. And maybe the reason you're stuck is just because you didn't know about those 3 things. And with his help, he can give you those 3 secrets and solve the problem for you. So then he says, and this is another thing which works very well in sales pages, is that it's not your fault. Are you feeling stuck? It's not your fault. There's something you don't know about how to do this. I do, and I can help you, is the kind of brief summary. So he says, there was a time when marketing was actually easy. And so his suggestion is, this used to be something you could do on your own, but now we've reached the point where it doesn't, the old system doesn't work, and I have a new system for you that could fix that. And then he goes into some pain points or suggestions of what used to happen. And the implication there is that these are no longer possible. And so their pain points: ranking in Google was easy, social engagement was automatic, ads were dirt cheap. So by reading these, even though they're talking about the past, they're making you think, gosh, ads are expensive, aren't they? You know, and you're going through this and noticing these as problems you have. He's got a nice visual image here, which helps. You'll also see, I think I've talked about before, or I will if I haven't yet, there's a lot of white space on the page. He's chosen to go with one column of text, and that will undoubtedly be because that works for mobile first. So although 2 columns with images and side to side looks great on a desktop, you often find that for mobile you want 1 line like this, and so I'm going to guess that's why that's happened. So I really like the way he's done this, and this is useful. The way you read this is short and punchy lines. So we had a kind of longer section. Actually, it wasn't really that long, but we had a slightly longer section up there, and now it goes into shorter and punchier. Our default reaction is to do more capitals. We launch more products. We invest in more channels. So you can see he's got these more. We still go down to, and then it says do more is also a lie. And so his argument is that you need to do less. So he's really building the tension up by using this word more, by really highlighting and stacking the problem. You're doing this the wrong way, and it's causing you all these problems and frustration and distraction, and it's a killer. So he's really stacking up those frustrations and pain points. And then he releases this tension with this heading that sits in here: how elite marketers achieve more by doing less. By this point, you're saying, oh, can I solve this by doing less? That sounds so much better. Then he has some bullets here that are actually numbered points, and he's listed these 3 issues. So he mentioned these 3 at the beginning. So I can see again he's coming back to this. You need these 3 things. And then he said, so just to recap, you need these 3 things. He only just said them, but he said it again. And I suspect the reason for that is that this is quite a wall of text compared to that last section there. And so he wants you to go into a little more detail at this point. But if you're a skimmer and you haven't read those things, here's the recap. Another nice image. So you'll see you get about just over a page of text, 1 to 2 pages of text before you scroll to another image. These 3 things may sound simple, but do you have them? If not, don't fret, you've come to the right place. So now he's bringing in what it is he does. So up to this point, you'll see where we are on the how far we're down, maybe a third, a quarter to a third of the way down the page. Up to this point, he hasn't even really talked about what he does, what he's going to give you. What he's just said is, here's the problem in the industry right now. Here is the thing that people have that helps them solve it, just in a general way. He's not saying he's going to give you those specifically. He's not explained how he's going to give them to you that's different to other marketing coaches, or how other marketers solve that problem. But here he is now getting into introducing the Elite Marketer Coaching Program. So I see he's talking about social proof. He's been doing this for nearly 10 years. He's trying to show why he knows about the thing and what we should do next. And he has all these steps, 5 steps of what you need to do to double your sales. So these are features of his product. Will help you document your customer journey. We'll build a weekly growth scorecard. We'll work together to design a marketing plan. We'll give you access to a library. We'll meet together on weekly coaching calls. So these are features that he's offering. These are things you get with it. They don't go deeper into the benefits, which is interesting. But he's done a lot about the pain points before he hits features. And then he reminds you what these sum up to, which is the 3 things he thinks you need. Another nice shiny image, and he's saying, I promise it will be unlike anything you've experienced in business before, which is exactly the point. He wants you to feel like he has a secret and he's going to help you do it differently this time, and that's going to solve your problem. So he has another bit which says why it's unlike other things. So this is again his unique value proposition. What is different about this? It's not just another course. It's not one size fits all. It's not another hack or tactic. He's hoping you're going to compare this to other things that have not worked for you in the past. Marketing solutions there is a lot of them available in the market right now. And so he has to work extra hard because you already know what marketing solutions are in principle and you know you want one. Your issue as a purchaser is just to pick which one you're going to purchase. And so what he really needs to do is differentiate himself and show why he's better than the other options. And that's to do with where his buyers are on the buyer's journey. They're sophisticated. They know about how digital marketing works in general. So he needs to differentiate why he is different to others. That's what he's doing there. Then he has qualifications for membership. Now, this is interesting because he's saying you need to have certain minimum things to get in. This also makes you, if you're the purchaser, feel like if you can check those boxes, you're like, oh, I fit the qualifications to be elite. So it gives you this feeling of being a step ahead of other people and being in his tribe and not out with his tribe. And as you can, we've not had another call to action. Oh no, there's one. Click here to apply now if you like what you see. Let me just check we haven't skimmed past one of those before now. Nope, that's the first point since those buttons that were above the fold. There's constantly an apply now button sitting up here. So if you've reached this point, you're just happy to buy, you can jump up there. But if you're reading, if you're really caught up in the content, this was the first place where it's clicked in. And I would have to say it wasn't that obvious. I almost skimmed past it, but there it is. You can click here. And then you'll see he keeps doing this. He has his heading in the middle and then some text, heading text, and that's to help break it up. And it's also to give you some gaps. So if you have skimmed this bit here because you're not that interested, you'll read the next heading and then you might read the copy that's related to that. Now, all of a sudden, we jump into a different color. Here we go. We're really focusing on the features again. So he has videos and pictures. And here I will say, do you see the way that he's designed this? He has swapped out. So it's content left, image right, then image left, content right, and he keeps stacking like that. Here is all his bonuses and more about the features. Finally, oh no, we're still at the value of his bonuses. We haven't reached how much this costs. So here he's starting to stack up his numbers. Now he's trying to suggest this is worth 20 grand. I mean, I think we all know that nothing is really as much as the value that it says at this point. But that 19 and then save up to 87%, he still hasn't given you the number, but this is starting to make you understand what sort of level we're talking about for this. So we have a much more obvious call to action button, but again, it's just apply right now. Now he's addressing the objections people might have. Your investment is fully guaranteed. So here he talks about what happens if you start this and you don't like it. And then he's saying, okay, you want to know how much. He's now starting to use comparators. He's wanting to say, this is valuable because look how much more you might spend on something else. So he's using different price points around his product to try and center his as good value for what you get. Then he's going back to remind you of what that ultimate feature is, the doubling your sales in the next 6 to 12 months. Then here we go. Again, apply right now. And then another button underneath, click here to apply right now. I think that might be a mistake in how they'd set that out. Then there's some frequently asked questions. This is another good way to address objections. If someone's reached this point, they're probably not ready to buy right now, but sometimes frequently asked questions can help. So they really want to, if someone's reached this point, they haven't clicked away, but they haven't bought yet. And so will be some objections in their head that they're not quite overcome. And that's why these will either solve the problem for them or they're off. So he's reminding you of the bonuses, because if you're almost there, so he's covered what problems you might have. Now he's trying to remind you there's a lot of goodies going on in there as well. Look how long this page is. So here's more information of things that you get. You also get a community. Oh, wow, you're also going to get some discounts on tools from other people. And finally, we've hit the bottom. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of how this is a long sales page, of how a sales page works. It's a long one, but it's also interesting because this is something where people are very, I would say, product aware. They know what type of thing they're going to get from Ryan in general. And so he has worked very hard on his differentiation and why he is better than others in the market that sell the types of things he sells. And he has taken a long time to get there. And I'm just going to check how many call to action he has. So not counting the one at the top that's static, he has one. We go far for the next one. 2, and then it starts to get faster. 3, 4, arguably, although I would say that was maybe a mistake. So let's say 3. 4, again, probably a mistake. 4, 5. They all seem to double up. So it's either 5 or 8, depending on how you look at that, I think. But that gives you a feeling for how long that page was, of just how much text was involved, how much he went through all these different issues I talk about that you want to break down, of pain points and benefits and features, and how many call to action buttons that he has within that. So I hope that's been useful for you. Please let me know and reach out if you have any questions about how this sales page is set up or how you could use some of those for yours. Thank you.